Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Career Technical Education. I'm Ann Baldwin.
And I'm Jim Bologa, President and CEO of PorterChester Institute and YTI Career Institute. And I'm excited for this podcast, Ann.
Absolutely. I always love it when we get to talk to people who have kind of found their way in life thanks to the skilled trades. And with us is Dyquan McCray, and he is a HVACR grad from our Rocky Hill campus. Graduated in October of 2022. And Dyquan, I know that you even took a break from your job to join us. So first of all, thanks for that.
No problem.
So talk a little bit about kind of your journey, if you will, before you ended up, signing up for PorterChester's HVACR program. What did you do before that? What was life like?
Yeah, of course. So when I first got out of high school, I tried, going to a community college and doing regular classes, but I was going for something, like completely different, like dental assistant. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But the community college, it wasn't really the way for me because I wasn't getting like what I needed from it. I wasn't learning anything. So I dropped out of community college after like 2 semesters, and then I was just working at restaurants for like probably about a year and a half. And then I gave PorterChester a shot. I was like, let's see where this goes. But at first I was a little skeptical, and then I came in the first day and I started picking up like the handiness, like learning how things work, how things connect together, how the wires flow, everything's a circuit. So it kind of just started interesting me. And the professor, Bruce Ruffalo, he was like a really good professor. Just made you feel comfortable. And after a while, I just started picking up things. Like once you see something work, you get your little excitement, and then, everything starts to click.
Right. It creates something else. Well, and that's the thing about the industry model labs, Jim, is because they look like the real deal, right? These students are getting real hands-on training.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, again, I think the thing that I'm most proud of at our schools, and I'm glad Dyquan, really sort of found his passion here, is that we have instructors who come from the industry who've been there, done that, and then we've designed our labs in a way that are industry modeled. So again, we've talked to employers in the local community. They're part of our program advisory committees, and we correspondingly set up labs where folks like Dyquan are going to actually work on real equipment, and they're going to practically apply the theory that they're learning in these industry modeled labs. And so that when they do go out, I mean, again, all of our students are generally moving into entry level positions, but and each student's a little bit different. But again, I mean, they can then go out into the field, and they're familiar with the equipment, and what to do.
Right, Dyquan. The other thing that we talk about a lot on these podcasts is flexibility, the flexibility of the program. Are you one of those people that needed to work while you were still taking classes?
Yes. So I worked, but my classes were just Monday and Wednesday, so it kind of fit around my work schedule.
And how important was that? Because some people can't just stop what they're doing and go to school.
Yeah, so I was working, as a dishwasher. I was only doing nights though, so it wasn't too big of like a change in my, everyday routine. But at the end of the day, school was more important. So I just was looking forward to going to school those Mondays and Wednesday classes. I got a lot out of it because, to be honest with you, I had no experience like with tools, handiwork, like anything. Like I had no background. And so when I first started at PorterChester, I just had so much doubt. Like, I can't do this. There's no way I'm gonna be able to learn this, and I just had so much doubt. But then, like I said before, the professor just makes you feel so comfortable, the classmates, and then when you start to see how things work, and then you get something to work, it's like, oh, I can actually do it.
I love that. I
You
just
know?
love that story. And I gotta say, as someone who's been a dishwasher, that's also on my resume. I give you a lot of credit. I really this is such a heartwarming story. It really is.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Dyquan, I want to say I appreciate you really sharing the details, because I think for a lot of folks, right? I mean, you don't know what you don't know, and and I think the hardest thing in life for all of us is just taking that next step, because you're unsure, you're uncertain, and it's really nice to hear that you weren't convinced that you yourself could move into this more mechanical sort of vocation, if you will, and the instructor and your classmates really supported you and made you feel welcome and integrated into the whole process. And I think for a lot of students today, and Dyquan, I'd be curious to sort of hear your background on this or your perspective on this. I mean, a lot of students today just their parents or their uncles or aunts or grandparents, whatever, they really haven't spent time around tools. They haven't spent time around mechanical situations, and I think it's one of the things that as a high school student, you really growing up, I mean, you don't really get exposure unless you know somebody in a vocation, and I give Dyquan high marks for really sort of putting himself out there and challenging himself, right? I mean, it takes a lot to really go into an area that you don't know anything about.
Yep. So Dyquan, what are you doing now? Let's get to the good stuff. How hard was it to find a job? After you got your certification from graduating in 2022, what are you doing now?
Yeah, so I actually started working at Mobilio & Son in Cheshire, but I started working a couple months before I even graduated.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Yep. So they got me in. Parker, he had recommended me, and I went in for an interview, and they gave me a chance. Back in May, and it's been great. Ever since I've actually been out doing things hand on, and then it's even better like working, and then going into school, and then you get into both. You get in,
Sure.
the education, and then the actual on work experience. So I'm learning stuff every day.
Of course.
Like
that's the thing about the trades. You continue to learn, and you're an independent worker, and now you're working for a great company, which is fantastic. What advice would you give to somebody watching this podcast that might be, thinking and hearing your story and inspired by that? What would you say?
I would honestly say just believe in yourself. At the end of the day, always bet on yourself, and you can do anything you put your mind to. Because I didn't have the best upbringing. I grew up in foster care. I didn't really have any guidance. I didn't have any background with any tools or anything. My dad worked at Friendly's. My mom was a nurse. I didn't have any real push to do the Porter-Chester route, so I kind of had to just bet on myself and take that leap, even though it was scary and it was uncomfortable. I took that chance, and I bet on myself, and at the end of the day, it paid out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a great story, and I guess Dyquan, I just want to sort of reflect back. So in high school, did you have any exposure to this profession? I mean, were there any career exploration classes or anything that would have exposed you to this?
Zero. Like the most I did was automotive tech class, but that's about it, and I didn't even really like it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, again, I mean, I want to, you're a great story, and and I hope our viewers and listeners, really take to heart, where you've come from, and I do think that, and again, I'm not trying to lay blame or fault, anywhere in the process, but again, it gets back to folks just not knowing what you don't know, and if you don't have exposure, to some of these vocations, you're one of the lucky ones who was able to, like you said, take a chance on yourself. And I mean, how did you find us? I mean, I'd be curious just to, share that with our viewers. How did you actually come to find Porter and Chester?
Yeah. So when I was 19, I moved out into my own apartment,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just trying out different things. Like after the community college didn't work, I
Mm-hmm.
tried it again, and I went to Manchester Community,
Yep.
and it's just, just prerequisite classes, just going there, and I just felt like I was just wasting my time. I just wanted more out of life,
Sure.
and so I was just doing the restaurant things, working late nights,
Mm-hmm.
2 a.m. dishwash every single day, paying
Mm-hmm.
paying the bills.
Yep.
But it's like I wasn't happy, and I know I was looking more ahead into the future. Like, what is Dyquan gonna do to
Right.
support himself as the years go on? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was looking for a career that would just that would do that for me.
Yeah.
And
So,
I went on PorterChester,
yeah.
and I gave it a shot.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I wasn't going into it all knowing that it was gonna. I was going into it not even thinking that I was gonna be able to complete it.
Sure.
Just going in based off faith, and just I was doubting myself, and then things started turning around, and then it turned out to be like the best decision I ever made.
That's awesome. Awesome here. And so, did you find this online, or did you know somebody? How did Porter and Chester sort of work its way into your path? I mean, would you go online and say, did you say, I'm looking for HVAC schools near me? What?
So I did a career search. When you go online,
Mm-hmm.
search the things that you like to do, what interests you,
Mm-hmm.
and HVAC had popped up as one of the results, and I was just looking up. I was like, you know what, I want to give it a shot, and I just looked up HVAC schools around me,
Mm-hmm.
and
And look at
Chester
you
popped
now.
up.
That's great. Mobilia and Sons in Cheshire, you're only 22 years old, Dyquan. I love your story. I love you. I think this is just such an inspirational, truth about how someone just had to go through some searching, but in the end, you're successful. And we always like to say, Dyquan, especially to you, continued success. And thanks for sharing, all the details of how you got where you're at today.
Of course, no problem.
All right, Dyquan McCray. Yay! I love this story. This is one of my favorites. I
Yeah,
gotta
no,
tell you.
it is it's great, and I have to say that I don't unfortunately I don't get to meet every student, but I do really I'm very grateful for the opportunity to have met Dyquan here on our podcast.
That's right.
and have him share his story, because again, I mean, this is Dyquan's going through what the real world, and I think that hopefully our viewers and listeners just find some part maybe of themselves in the same situation that Dyquan was in,
Yep.
in terms of trying to find their way. And, and again, I think if you're a young person, you don't get exposed to a lot of things. And, and again, it's a testament to, Dyquan's fortitude to sort of really try to find something in his life that's going to give him a sense of purpose and passion. So,
And he did.
Yeah.
Well, Dyquan, thank you. I know that you took time out from work. We'll let you get back to work, okay? And thanks again. We appreciate it. And of course, we couldn't do this podcast without you on behalf.
All right, no problem.
All right,
I appreciate
Dyquan.
you both.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
All right, you too.
All right.
bye-bye.
Bye. And of course, we couldn't do this podcast without you. So we want to thank you for tuning into this edition of Inside Career Technical Education. We'll see you again soon.